Hey there guys, and welcome to FP1. Let's just sit down and talk about that brilliant British Grand Prix. I didn't think there'd be much to talk about, but those last few laps, wow. So yeah, it's a bit of a summary for those that haven't seen it yet. Go watch it, because if you turned off halfway through thinking it was going to be absolutely boring, which it was looking like, that middle portion of the race was pretty dull, no one was overtaking anyone, go and watch it again. Those last few laps, I cannot believe the scenes that we saw. I've not seen an ending to a race like that in a long time. Long time. So yeah, let's jump into it. So we'll start with the start then. It was a pretty steady start for a lot of the top drivers. The one driver not to get the start, Nico Hülkenberg. You got a feel for him. He, it sounds like some sort of engine issue. They couldn't even start the car up, which is, I guess, a little bit surprising. They figured that out so late. I don't know. I'm not too sure on that one. I need to look into it a little bit more, but yeah, they couldn't get that car started. Poor Nico. I mean, it's looking like he's going to get next weekend as well. Racing Point are currently trying to get Perez back in the car. It's quite tricky at the moment because when Perez had his first test, the government guidance in the UK was you had to spend 7 days under quarantine. That's now been extended to 10 days. I think Racing Point are basically trying to say, we want the 7 days. And that would allow Perez to race next weekend, but I think they're being met with a little bit of friction from the FIA and Formula 1 on that one. So hopefully Hülkenberg gets another shot. I really want Nico to get another shot because he really did deserve it. I do want to see what he can do in that car. But yeah, it was a pretty steady start from getting through fairly well, no major issues, until, of course, we got to the Vale chicane. And with Alex Albon, he's been taken out a few times in the last few races, most notably by Hamilton in Brazil, and then again at the first round of the season in Austria. But, well, he gave it a go himself this time, taking out Kevin Magnussen. I say that, but was this Albon's fault? Not really. The way I saw it, Magnussen got all out of shape into the Vale chicane, was running wide, then came back. Albon saw an opportunity, went down the inside, and then Magnussen kind of came across him. I don't think it was necessarily K-Mag's fault either, but the FIA obviously disagreed with what I thought and what a lot of people thought. I think there's quite a lot of frustration with that penalty. There have been a few decisions from the FIA today in the Formula 2 race as well that have confused a few people, but no, it's interesting. Albon obviously getting a penalty for that one. For me, I think, has this guy not suffered enough? I mean, if you haven't seen the video I put out earlier today, or earlier yesterday even, on Albon, whether Red Bull should drop him, at the moment, his mental state is going to be, well, rock bottom, and that's not what you want as a driver. It's what we saw with Gasly last year, and his performances just kept getting worse and worse and worse as a result, and that, of course, culminated in him getting dropped halfway through the season. I really hope Red Bull can give Albon the rest of the year, because if they don't, it's not just going to kill off his Red Bull career, it's going to kill off his career in a whole. I don't think he's going to be able to get back from that if he is dropped. They've just got to give him time and let him grow in this car. But yeah, we talked about one Haas with Magnussen. Let's go on to the other one, Romain Grosjean. It was an interesting strategy from the Haas team. We've seen them do that quite a lot in the recent races, because it paid off them fairly well in Hungary with them getting points with, I think, K-Mag in the end, despite that penalty. But yeah, Grosjean, there was another crash for Kvyat, who torpedoed it into the wall. Got a feel for Kvyat as well. That's a massive hit. I'm glad he's okay as well. It looked like a tyre failure going around the Maggots-Beckett's complex, and that just sent him into the wall. Just a worse place of a tyre failure, and tyre failures, we'll get onto those in a minute. But yeah, it was a bit of a weird one. Everyone pits apart from Grosjean. I was sat on the call with my mates. We all kind of looked over and like, hold on, Roman's in 7th. Where's that come from? And I think he got up to 5th or 6th at one point, and yeah, the McLaren's got him fairly quickly, but Danny Rick, who had a really good start, was making some brilliant moves on Lando Norris, I think Lance Stroll as well. Just wasn't really showing it at that mid stage of the race. Couldn't get the pace advantage over the Haas to get him. He was stuck behind him for laps and laps and laps. And Lance Stroll as well, someone who, given his qualifying form and his pace in the Hungarian Grand Prix, was really disappointed me today. I don't think he really got the most out of that Racing Point. Now, we don't know really where that race pace was, because obviously we didn't see where Hülkenberg was, but yeah, Stroll's disappointed me today. But yeah, of course, that strategy for Haas not really working out the way they wanted it to. I guess you've got to give it a risk at this point. Were they going to get points without another safety car? Probably not. I think what Haas were kind of hoping for was there'd be another incident like Kvyat or like the Magnussen incident that would cause another safety car, and then they can pit and keep that track position. But sadly that didn't happen, and Grosjean sadly faded away. His defensive driving was a little bit questionable at times. I think the move on Sainz was a little bit touch and go. I think it was on Ricciardo as well. He was a little bit aggressive, and I don't think he's got a penalty yet. Nothing's come out yet, but it was that incident had been noticed. I think he's under investigation, so we'll see how that develops as the race goes on, or as the post-race celebrations go on. But yeah, an interesting one from Grosjean. He obviously got a bit heated over the radio, thinking he wasn't doing anything wrong. For me, it was very much on the limit, especially the Sainz one, I think, was probably over the limit. Do I think he deserves a penalty? Probably not. I mean, it won't really affect his race result much anyway, but yeah, I don't know on that one. Lance Stroll as well was a little bit aggressive. I think, was it with, I can't remember who it was, one of the Renaults, Ocon, I want to say. I was like a little bit on that move. I think if Grosjean gets a penalty, then I think Lance should as well on that case. Maybe it's a little bit controversial, but let me know what you think down in the comments. Right, we've got rid of all the boring stuff. Let's talk about those last 10 laps. We'll start with Kimi Raikkonen, who's, he let his wheel decide to, it was faster off the car in Austria, and this time his front wing said, I want to give a go off of my driver's car, and it just fell off, going through the Maggots and Beckett's complex. Again, it looked like it was the curbs that were doing it. Curbs seem to be a big factor in killing cars so far this season, but yeah, it was a bit of a weird incident. I mean, Kimi wasn't having a brilliant race anyway. He was just sort of nowhere, and Gio was outclassing him up in P12, P13, which was pretty good given the state of that Ferrari engine and that Alfa Romeo car on a track that is very much a power track. So yeah, I kind of hope Kimi can bring it back. He just didn't seem to really find his form today. But then we cut to, I think it was lap 48 or lap 49, something like that, and it's Valtteri Bottas with his tyre just gone, and I was sat here thinking, I literally stood up in my chair, I was like, what? No, this has not just happened. Max Verstappen obviously gets through, everyone's thinking, oh, is this going to happen to Hamilton now? Now, go back to, I think it was 2017 or 2018, this happened to both Ferraris late in the race at around the exact same time. We know from experience that Silverstone is a tyre killer, especially that front left, which was the one that was going up for everyone today. So, obviously, Valtteri's went, cut halfway through the lap, we get a cut to a Mercedes onboard saying Hamilton, and that instant, that tyre's gone. I was screaming, and then they quickly have to correct, saying, oh, hold on a second, no, don't worry, that was Bottas, we made a mistake. And we all sat there like, oh, for God's sake, you gotta be kidding me, right? Cut back to a few laps, and Hamilton this time has had his tyre blown up, and what a last lap. It was on the last lap of the Grand Prix, lap 52, halfway through the lap, he's got a 20-odd second advantage, I think it was a 30-second advantage over Verstappen, who had pitted for new tyres. Did he need to? Probably not. And Red Bull, the guys at Red Bull, someone is getting in a lot of trouble over there. I think Helmut Marko came over at the end of the race and was furious towards Christian Horner and the pit wall for pitting Max, because he could have won that race today, and he got within, I think, 10 seconds or so at the flag. But yeah, Hamilton blew up and then dragged that car back. I didn't think he could do it, and I was literally sat there thinking, I just want Lewis to do it. Like, I'm not a massive Lewis fan. Yes, I'm wearing a Mercedes top, but I just wanted Lewis to get a 7th British GP win, and he did. And it was such a heart in your mouth, last final few laps, to be honest. Sainz blew up as well, meaning Ricciardo got into P4, so good on Danny Rick. Leclerc getting a podium for Ferrari as well, which no one would have thought of coming into the weekend. Sebastian Vettel, no way. I mean, I think he got points in the end, just fended off Bottas, who'd had to pit, obviously, with that tyre failure, but Vettel's just been struggling all weekend, and I really do hope he can bring that back. I think they were saying it was a setup issue, so they've got a week now to go back. Things are changing from this week to next week. It's not like Austria where the tyres are staying the same. They're going to bring a different set of tyres. I think obviously Pirelli have got 5 to choose from. But yeah, very, very interesting. We're going to see how that goes. In terms of next week, though, I'm going to say as a prediction, I'm going to go with Lewis to win it again from Valtteri and Verstappen. I think they're going to get hold of those tyre issues and figure out where things went wrong and make sure that mistake doesn't happen again next weekend. But let me know your predictions for the British Grand Prix or the 70th anniversary Grand Prix happening next week down in the comments below. And thanks again for all the support on the channel recently, guys. It has been incredible. So yeah, let's keep that up. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and share the video as well if you haven't already. But I will see you guys later in the week for the post-podium podcast with Beth One, who's coming on. Looking forward to filming that one. But yeah, have a lovely rest of your day. I will see you all then.